Hi, guys. Welcome to the final session of our second cohort of our last day of our 6-week program. Are you guys excited? I am. It's been a journey, and I'm really happy that we've gotten this far, and you guys have been this consistent. Please don't forget that by exactly 4 p.m. we're starting our prize giving day. There will be so many cool prizes, courtesy of UNESCO. Please don't miss it. Please be there. It's going to be really fun. So let's get into it. Let's get into our final session. Pretty emotional. I don't know if you guys are as well, but I like to hand over now to Kenneth. Oh, to Harris, sorry. And Kenneth, and every other person that's introducing the
Hello,
engineer.
hello. Welcome to our final session of our um, of our 12 weeks of workshops. Our final session will be doing our FTC engineering notebook documentation, and at the end, I'll be doing, as I promised earlier on, I'll be doing I'll be talking about college. So what classes you should take, what how you guys should prepare, and all that fun stuff. So next slide, please. But before I begin, let me give a huge thank you to all of the people that have helped. So this week we from Codarina first. Codarina, for thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to host the series of workshops we've done. Thank you to Illuminati, who's hosting today's workshop, Walnut Valley Robotics, Team Sprocket, the Second Rebellion, Code Orange, Anonymous, and Boeing. Thank you so much for doing all these workshops for us. And thanks for an awesome 12 weeks. Yep, next. So let me introduce you to Illuminati, FTC Team 6321. I've seen their presentation. They have an extremely detailed presentation on the engineering notebook, really important for FL and FTC. So pay close attention. This will be really helpful, extremely helpful when you go into your higher level education. So Illuminati.
And so we're FTC 6325 Illuminati, and it's our 9th year competing, and we're from Walnut, California. And then these are just some pictures of the robots throughout the years. So the purpose of the engineering notebook is basically to document what you've done throughout the entire season. And so this talks about how the team runs, programming, and the business model of your team. And it's really important to show the progression of the robot and have you encountered to solve problems throughout to give an overall understanding of your season. And so basically what every team member needs to reflect and learn from their past mistakes through documentation and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And so this also helps with planning, goal setting, and organization. Someone basically should be able to flip through your notebook and have a basic understanding of what your team has done throughout the season.
So the sections in the notebook should include daily entries which document all of the programming and engineering that the team does. The team information should include team introductions and outreach, so the judges can get to know the members and have a list of outreach events. And a team plan which should include information on the business and sustainability of the team. The sections in the notebook are meant to give an overview of the season and highlight successes and failures and improvements made throughout the season.
So the purpose of daily entries is to document what you do at each meeting, and everyone on the team should be writing entries. The way you should organize it is a task and reflection table to write your entries, because it makes it easier to follow and organize your thoughts better. You should write about what happens in each meeting, include the time, date, and any other details about the meeting. And the main goal is to just help sort out your ideas, describe and visualize what you did that day, and figure out what works and what doesn't. It's important to show the design and engineering process in the entries, which can be done by taking the pros and cons and descriptions of what you did.
So this is an example. It has like the name and the date and the time, and then it talks about like who attended, and then the meeting goals and future goals. And then this is what I meant by the task reflection chart. Basically, you put the task on the side and then the reflection on the other, and you just talk about what you did that day, and then make sure to include pictures and talk about your successes, failures, and what you did to revise it. entries can basically be written however format you like, and ideally it's like a task reflections chart. And so this one you can see like the task is on top and then the reflections like on the bottom. And then on the other side too, it's both like just like task and reflection. But as long as it's easy to follow, you can kind of do whatever you want.
Things to write about in your notebook would be how the robot has changed. So what did you do this meeting? Team plans, prototypes, how you arrived at the solution if you guys are having an issue, what the current design is best, writing problems, conflicts, or opposing views, strategic decisions, questions that you solved in the future, and ideas of designs or options, what you learned, explain drawings or CAD you had, what materials and why you chose them, what did you end up doing, what did you do that turned out to be a bad idea and what turned out to be a good idea, and not only what you did, but what was your thought process also. And on the right, there's an example. So like explain like what didn't work and why it didn't, and then what you changed and how it helped you achieve your solution.
Hello.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is just an example, and then and so on the left side it talks about like it lists the materials you can use, and then it talks about like why they used it, and then on the bottom part of the left side it shows like exactly like what they did and why they did it, and then on the right side it states the problem and the solution as to what you guys wanted to do, and then it also includes diagram sketches and better ways to visualize everything. This is another example. It states like the problem, which is the hand pivot point wasn't directly on the center in relation to the omni wheel, and then it states the solutions at the bottom about like creating a guide and then removing the old foam grippers and replacing them. And so this is just like an idea of what you can write in your daily entries, like, oh, this problem happened and so we did this to solve it.
So for programming daily entries, you should include screenshots of code if needed, descriptions about the changes you made, and explain the code. It should also include charts for testing autonomous. So like what changes did you make in the autonomous and how did that affect the autonomous and what was the result? Programming can become a separate section of daily entries or added to the engineering daily entries depending on team preference.
So some tips for daily entries would be to include sketches, pictures, or calculations and trial testing that you did in your mechanical or programming work, because it helps flesh out ideas as well as put context into the words. The entries should be detailed enough so that when a member is absent, they should be able to read the entry and know exactly what happened. Think of journals as writing down your thoughts, problems, and then the solution, not like a formal book, because you want to try mixing, or what we do is we mix in bullet points, highlighting, and bolding words because it helps sort out and list ideas, options we had, and problems we face. Label when there's a significant problem, and then write your attempts to reaching the solution, how you attempted each. And then it's important to have clarity in your entries because it should be easy to follow.
And so the next section would be team information, which is basically just like getting to know a little bit more about your team. And so the first section would be team introductions. And basically you just have a member write a bio about themselves and then include pictures of them. And it's just like to see like kind of like who each team member is. And you guys can make it personal however you like, just like it's just for judges to get to know the team and the members, and include any information you want people to know about your team. And so this example, it's like, why did you join first? What is your favorite thing? What did you learn? And then so these are some more examples, and then it talks about like how they joined first or like what they liked, and then You can make it how brief or descriptive as you like, and it's just mainly personal preference.
For outreach, you want to create a description of each event and kind of explain what happened at the event. You also want to make sure you include pictures of the event so judges can see how you interacted with others and included STEM and FIRST into it.
So the next section is the team plan or your business plan. And the main goal of the business plan is to give an overview of the team, including your history, organization, future goals, plans, and funding. This section allows you to identify your strengths, weaknesses, and goals to further improve the team. And the section that you should include in there is executive summary, team overview, team management, SWOT analysis, team impact, and your outreach, future plans, actions and implication plan, team budget, sponsor benefits, and team fundraising opportunities.
So the first part is the executive summary, and the purpose is just to introduce your team. And so this includes your team goals, program summary, and just like what your team's about. And you can talk about the mission statement, how the team began, team relations, sponsorships, a summary of FIRST and your team, impact and outreach, and team growth along with future plans.
So for mission statement, you kind of want to ask yourself, what is the purpose and vision for your team? This can be in a single sentence, image, paragraph, or page, but it should explain what your teams plan on doing. The team should also consider incorporating the first mission statement. So an example could be to transform imagination into innovation to promote FIRST core values and build relationships through robotics.
So the basic information in program and team summary. So the first section would be the date, location, and team relations, which include the date the team began for people to know how old or new the team is. Include the location of the team and location of sponsors to understand the community or school the team represents. And include a list of team relations between team sponsors, as this can help develop relations with sponsors and ensure funding for future years. And the last section would be team and programming summary. And it should include a summary of how the team began, the amount of students and mentors, and description of the FIRST program.
So the next one would be a team overview, which basically gives an overview of how your team started and where it's currently at. And so this team history can give an explanation about how the team began, challenges you overcame, and awards. And as for team members and mentors, you guys can include like a list of mentors and maybe a little bit about each member on the team.
So team impact and outreach. Judges want to know who and where has the team made an impact. So you want to include descriptions about the outreach events of the season and how they have made an impact within the community and outside. They also want to know what had your team done this season to promote STEM and FIRST. So for the summary of team growth, they want to know how has the team impacted the community through outreach this year in comparison to previous years, and what your future goals are. So the summary of future team plans should also include goals for recruitment, funding, and outreach.
So the team management section provides an overview of team organization and member expectations. So how is the team run? What are the expectations for each member? What are the subcategories in the team? And identifying the tasks for each leader and captain on the team.
So the next part would be the SWOT analysis. And so basically this is to identify what you're good at and what you need to improve on. And so the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunity section is essentially just to figure out what to improve on, and you can just like go through the points and then figure out what's good and what needs to be better for your season.
Team impact, and so for team impact, team should include or should write about how your team impacts the community and surrounding areas through outreach. You should also write about the people that you reached out to, what you did, and include how your outreach has impacted others through promoting first in STEM. For future plans, you should identify goals and plans for the next season, future years, and what you plan on doing after achieving your goals.
So the action and implementation plan, the best way to organize it is to create a table to identify future goals and how you plan on achieving these goals. And it would be a 4-column table. The first column would be strategy, and you would write out the goal you plan on accomplishing for the season. The second one would be actions, and what actions will you take to accomplish the goal. The third one will be group responsibility, so who is doing the action and who's doing programming, business, mechanical. And the last one would be plan completion, so include the expected month you plan to accomplish the goal.
And so the next part would be a team budget and fundraising, and this just gives an overview of like the funds you spent throughout the season. And so just make sure you keep track so that you can like show them what you bought and like what you plan on buying.
These are some examples of how you could format these, but teams should include the sponsorship levels and the benefits for each level. This is useful when approaching potential sponsors.
So the sustainability plan helps or plans to sustain the team and improving it. You can include plans for fundraising, recruitment, and expanding the team. Talk about your current recruitment plan and process for getting new members in the team, and then how you will fundraise for the new school year and how you will train new members.
And so the next part would be the strategic plan, which is basically to help map out important milestones throughout the season. And it's just like a goal setting section. And so you highlight like big milestones throughout the season and what goals you plan on achieving for the next throughout the season.
So each notebook is required to have a one-page summary attached to the front of the notebook that should be 1 page and give an overview of the season. The one-page summary should include a narrative about the team, highlights from the team season, and have pages in the notebook you would like the judges to consider and pay extra attention to. This helps judges get to know your team better and highlight the most important parts of your season. You should also go through your notebook and tab important pages in the notebook. These are 2 different types of format examples. The left is like a timeline of what happened throughout the season, and the right states highlights. Any format is fine as long as it explains what happened clearly.
So notebooks can be handwritten or digital, and so it's based on team preference of what you guys are more interested in doing. And so to determine if you want to like which you should go with, just think about if you can make it the notebook cohesive, like a cohesive story throughout the season, and based on the format, and if you can well organize it and show the design process along with how you plan on organizing the notebook.
So pros and cons of the handwritten notebook. So pros, it's easier to jot down ideas. It shows clear team effort, easier to show diagrams and sketches. The cons is that since everybody needs to write in the notebook, it may be harder to organize it. It can be messier if you guys have messier handwriting or if there's a member that has messy handwriting. And it's more inconvenient because you need to print and tape images and handwrite everything. You can also include digital tables, typed paragraphs. So that's another option.
So another thing is digital notebook. So on the right is an example of a digital notebook. Some pros are it's easier to organize. Everyone can work on it at the same time, and there's more room to fix mistakes if necessary. However, some cons would be it's harder to jot down ideas you have, and it's less personable. You can also add written pages like scratch work or designs into your digital notebook if you want to.
So formatting the notebook, make sure your notebook is organized and easy to follow. You have to be aware of the fonts and colors of the pages. Try to keep the formatting of each section consistent. Decide on the best format for daily entries and stick to that one format for the entire section. Make sure that you include pictures, sketches, CAD, and think about what you could do to document the team's goals, revisions, and overall progress.
So the next thing would just be the making, like, these are just examples. The fonts and color schemes remain relatively the same in this one notebook, and these are just 4 different sections, and you can kind of tell like the consistency. Same thing for this one. It's like cohesive because they got the same color scheme and fonts.
So some notebook guidelines would be there's a minimum of one notebook and a maximum of 2 notebooks. The outside cover should include the team name and number. It's recommended you have a 1-page summary and divide the notebook into sections. You should also include engineering content so it outlines the design, build, and testing stages, and the code development process. The team information, bios, sponsor, and outreach. A team plan and notebooks can be written or typed.
So this just kind of relates to the previous slide. This is just an official form of the notebook formatting and notebook sections that you should include in your notebook.
So some tips for making the engineering notebook. Remember that the purpose is to document what you've done throughout the season. And so this includes team management and goal setting and what we can do to better plan out the season and what we hope to accomplish. Talk about the robot changes and what you decided to change and what you want to change, why you picked the specific design, and what went well and what you should improve on. Talk about the different changes in programming and the errors throughout the season, and in terms of outreach and fundraising goals, try to write down your different strategies, what was successful, what you want to improve on, and how you plan to impact the community by spreading first in STEM.
Also make sure the notebook is easy to follow and looks cohesive. So it should give an overview of the season, and someone should just be able to flip through the pages and understand your season. You can also come up with an organized format for each section that can better help others understand your notebook. The notebook should highlight the strengths, weaknesses, possible improvements, and future plans in every section. Make sure to emphasize on what your team changed and why throughout the season. Be sure to include images, sketches, and CAD throughout the season. This is important to put images towards so it's easier to visualize. And make sure the notebook is personable.
Sorry. Oh, thank you. So once again, thank you, Illuminati, for giving this week's presentation. But I want to give these 4 groups another thank you. Yep. Next slide, please. So as I have been promising for weeks and weeks and weeks, I'd give you another session or advice on how to prepare for higher level education. So how to prepare for university or college. And today I'm a mechanical aerospace engineer. So yeah, I'll talk about mechanical and aerospace perspective. Next slide, please. So if you can all see this photo or this slide, I don't know if it might be blurry on YouTube. I apologize for that. So if you can see, first of all, you obviously want to do well in your math courses. So for example, Math 20E, Math 20E is like multivariable calculus, I think, or vector calculus, something like that. But you want to do well even in high school or junior high school. You want to do well in your mathematics courses. And then some topics we've talked about. So graphics and design, and for example, graphics and design, and let's see, computer aided design. So these are stuff we've done this summer we've done using Onshape. So these are courses that require CAD. So the good thing about FIRST is it trains you really well for college, for higher level education. So when you get to that level, you're ahead of everyone. You're really doing well. So aside from a brief summary of this summer, we did a lot of statics and dynamics. We did some with Team Sprocket, if you remember. It was really early in the summer. And then we also did some with material science with Scott in Code Orange. And we also did some thermodynamics with Team Sprocket. We did some, I think we did. So we kind of went over this chart, but this is a course guideline from a university that I just took and borrowed. And this is kind of the courses you'll do in college. So my advice is that for you, yes, for you to please, if you want to do mechanical or aerospace engineering when you grow up and when you get to a higher level education, do look at the workshops we've done and kind of go through some more topics and go more in depth. So you can always refer back to this YouTube video. Yeah, and then you can just always kind of look, oh, hey, what's solid mechanics? What's material science? What's dynamics? What's static? So yeah, so we've talked a bit but almost on all of these topics. So does anyone have any questions? You guys can always have my email, and you guys have been emailing me, which is interesting. You guys can email Walnut Valley Robotics again to reach me more quickly. Sometimes most of your emails get blocked out because I have a system. My university has a system that blocks out emails. So it would be better if you want to reach me more directly to go to email walnutvalleyrobotics@gmail.com, and you guys have been emailing them throughout the entire summer. So yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, yeah, I think today our presentation is only 30 minutes. So thank you so much for this entire summer, and I'll see you guys in the future.
Thank you very much, and bye. Bye.
Bye.
So bye guys. See you by 4 for the prize giving. Please make sure you are available. Thank you and goodbye for now.